It's July 2nd, and welcome to a brand new episode of 3 Rounds, brought to you by Total Wireless, the official wireless provider of UFC. They're in your corner with unlimited 5G network that will not slow you down. So last weekend, Ilia Topuria became a UFC double champion, and you know how much I love a fight. That's why I enjoy doing 3 rounds so much. So I've been in training camp. Last time I done bust somebody up the head on this show was Chris Weidman 2 years ago, and they've been refusing, they've been running. So in comes Dean Thomas to try to step up to the challenge. What's up, Dino?
I ain't running from nobody. When I heard the challenge was out there, I was the first one to step up because I'm here to take your head clean off your shoulders.
Hey, this boy about to try to bust my ass, but hey, that's why we train. That's why we train. That's why we get ready. Hey, y'all know that we don't put about 20, 30 episodes of 3 Rounds in the bank for us. So I'm ready for the fight, so let's go.
I'm gonna show you how great I am.
Ilia Topuria last weekend beat Charles Oliveira to become the lightweight champion, making him a double champ. Now, Ilia Topuria on yesterday was announced as the new number one pound for pound fighter in the world. Dean Thomas, do you agree with that? Do you think, though, that by Ilia becoming the lightweight champion, he's pound for pound number one?
Absolutely. When you look at his strength of schedule, when you look at the guys that he's beaten, he was already, even without the Charles Oliveira win, he was already in the ranking to being one of the best. I would say top 3, top 5 for sure, maybe top 3. But the win over Charles Oliveira, first round knockout, solidifies Ilia Topuria as the number one pound for pound fighter in the world, no doubt about it.
So, Dino, I was talking to Arman Sarukian yesterday, and he said to me, it was expected that Ilia would beat Charles Oliveira. So that has no bearing on the entire thing. The fact that he won a fight that many say he was supposed to, I get it. But I must say this, I agree. I think pound for pound does your fighting style translate weight classes? We saw by knocking out Volkanovski, by knocking out Holloway, his fighting style is effective at 145. Before he started as a bantamweight, it was effective there because he's undefeated. Now he's the lightweight champion. I agree. I think that at this point, he is number one pound for pound because he has shown that his fighting style, regardless of the weight class, is effective. But not only effective, Dino, he is knocking dudes out. So the power has followed him up to lightweight as it was at 145.
He's so clean. It's his technique, and it's not necessarily just his power, like he's like bench pressing all this weight. His technique is so clean that when he's hitting guys and he's hitting them right on the spot, they can't hold up. I believe that he'll knock out anybody from anywhere up until 170. Really? I do believe his power will translate into 170. I really believe.
So you're telling me right now you think he beats Islam?
I think he beats Islam.
Oh my God!
I always thought he would beat Islam. Here's why: because I think Islam had struggled with in the Volkanovski fight, the very first Volkanovski fight. He struggled with getting underneath Alexander Volkanovski. Islam struggled to get underneath him to be able to take him down. He's going to have a hard time getting underneath Topuria. He's going to have a hard time getting underneath Topuria to take him down. If he don't take him down, he's getting knocked out.
So I would imagine that you don't agree with my next point then, because I was going to say he is the number one pound for pound fighter today. But if Islam is able to beat Jack Della Maddalena, it flips again. And then Islam goes back to number one pound for pound. Only because it is, Dean. Dean, listen. Only because it is. Fighting style will then be proven to go up to the next weight class. So then Islam will have done everything Topuria has done at a heavier weight, 4 title defenses at 155, and then the new champion at welterweight. So yes, I agree. He is pound for pound number one today. But I think the moment if Islam is able to win, he then goes back to pound for pound number one.
Absolutely not. Because the win over Jack Della Maddalena doesn't really prove it. I mean, in fact, Jack was like ranked 7 until he won the belt.
But this
Jack's not a Hall of Famer, like the way he don't have the strength of schedule that Ilia got.
Ilia right now will only fight fights he's supposed to win until he fights Islam. Because every one of his challengers, right now, he's minus 600 against Patty. He's minus 300 against Arman. He's minus 350 against Justin. Only person he's an underdog to is Makhachev. So if Makhachev becomes the welterweight champ, doesn't he go back to pound for pound number one, Dean?
Absolutely not. The fact that Ilia is such a strong favorite already says enough about how good we think he is.
I think he's great too.
And if Makhachev beats Jack Della Maddalena, that to me, that's not really the feather in his cap that he needs. He needs to beat a stronger opponent. I think he needs to beat a Hall of Famer. If he were to knock out Kamaru Usman, that would be different.
If Islam wins that belt at 170, does it make him pound for pound number one again, or does Ilia still stay there? Because Ilia does have a claim for it. The kid is phenomenal. He is an amazing fighter. He's tremendous. But I just think that the reason he jumped him is because he just won his second belt. But the moment Islam does, if he does, I think he goes back to number one. All right, guys, so it's time for my final thought. Ilia Topuria is great. I tell you one thing. It don't matter if you love him or you hate him. I don't understand why so many were booing him over the course of last week when in reality, all he has done is the right thing. I get it. There are a lot of comparisons to Conor McGregor, but there's a lot of differences in Ilia Topuria. He has not carried himself in the way that McGregor did. So while there are similarities in the fight career, we have to understand who Ilia Topuria has shown us to be as the man is vastly different. So while the actions are great inside the octagon, to this point, all he has shown us is great actions outside of the octagon. Now, I know my great friends out in Dagestan may not have the best relationship with him, but I do know if I know these guys, they respect what he has done inside the octagon. We'll see what happens in the future. But as of today, just acknowledge that this kid is great and he's different. And what he's doing to this point is as good as anything we have seen in a really long time. That confidence, that smile, that walk lets you know that you are watching an individual who believes that only success lies ahead of them every time they step into the octagon. Guys, that was another episode of 3 Rounds. Thank you, Dean Thomas, for joining. Thank you for putting up the great fight. I hope to have you back next week. Guys, like, subscribe, tell your friends to tell their friends that DC's got a YouTube channel. And I'm doing things like 3 Rounds every week, and I'm going to be joined now by my man Dean Thomas because he did a hell of a job. Until next time, for Dean Thomas, I'm Daniel Cormier. Peace.